How much pressure should be used in injection molding? The amount of pressure used in injection molding is a critical factor in the success of the molding process. Too little pressure can result in poor quality parts with defects, such as incomplete filling of the mold cavities or inadequate bonding between the plastic and the mold. Too much nozzle pressure can cause damage to the mold and the injection molding machine, as well as excessive wear and tear on the equipment. The amount of pressure used in injection molding is determined by several factors, including A. The type and viscosity of the plastic material. B. The size and shape of the part being molded. C. The design and construction of the mold. D. The injection molding machine. E. The complexity of the part being molded. In general, the pressure used in injection molding should be sufficient to fill the mold cavities and create a strong bond between the plastic and the mold. The type and viscosity of the plastic material. One of the key factors that determine the amount of maximum injection pressure needed for injection molding is the type and viscosity of the plastic material. Different plastic materials have different viscosities, which refers to their resistance to flow. High viscosity materials require more pressure to inject into the injection mold cavities than low viscosity materials. Harder and stiffer plastic materials require higher injection pressures than softer and more flexible materials. For example, polyethylene, a commonly used plastic material, has a low viscosity and therefore requires relatively low injection pressures. In contrast, polycarbonate, another commonly used plastic material, has a higher viscosity and therefore requires higher injection pressures. The size and shape of the part being molded. Size and shape of the part being molded is another factor that determines the amount of holding pressure needed for injection molding. Larger and more complex parts require more pressure to fill the mold cavities and create a strong bond between the plastic and the mold. Smaller and simpler parts, on the other hand, require less pressure. The design and construction of the mold. The design and construction of the mold are another important factors that determines the amount of pressure needed for injection molding. Molds with complex geometry and fine details, such as thin walls and deep cavities, require higher injection pressures to fill the mold cavities and create a strong bond between the plastic and the mold cavity. Molds with simpler geometry and fewer details, on the other hand, require lower injection pressures. The injection molding machine. The injection molding machine also plays a role in determining the amount of higher injection pressure used in the molding injection process. Different types of injection molding machines exert different clamping forces, which determine the maximum pressure that can be applied during the injection molding process. For example, a spiral injection molding machine with a clamping force of 100 tons can apply a maximum pressure of 100 tons during the molding process. The complexity of the part being molded. The exact pressure used in a given plastic injection molding process will depend on the specific factors, as well as the desired properties of the finished part. For example, a simple part that is being molded from a soft and flexible plastic material may require an injection cavity pressure of only a few hundred psi. In contrast, a complex part that is being molded from a hard and stiff plastic material may require an initial injection pressure of several thousand psi. Conclusion. In general, the amount of pressure used in injection molding should be carefully selected and controlled to ensure that the plastic is properly injected into the mold cavities and forms a strong bond with the mold. Too little pressure can result in poor quality parts with defects, while too much pressure can cause damage to the mold and the injection molding machine. The exact amount of pressure needed for a specific injection molding application will depend on the specific factors outlined above.